My parents banned me from Thanksgiving because my sister didn't want drama. The same sister who spread the lie that ruined my reputation. So I skipped dinner and sent everyone a certified letter instead. Before midnight, they were all at my door. Help everyone. My name is Claire Morrison. I'm 37 years old, and the last Thanksgiving I spent with my family ended before I even reached the front door. My mother called the night before. Don't come tomorrow. I thought she was joking. What? Emily doesn't want any drama. I laughed bitterly. Drama? The only drama in this family started when she lied about me. Mom sighed heavily. Claire, we're exhausted. Just skip one holiday. You can come next year. I looked out my apartment window. That's what you said last Christmas. And my birthday. And Dad's retirement dinner. Silence. Then Mom quietly said, you know your sister. It's easier this way. Those 5 words hurt more than being excluded. Because after 3 years, my parents had stopped pretending they cared whether I was innocent. They simply wanted peace. 3 hours later, I drove to the post office, mailed 8 certified envelopes, one for every member of my family. Then I went home. By midnight, my phone showed 68 missed calls. Looking back, Emily and I used to be inseparable. She was 3 years older. When we were children, we shared everything. Clothes, secrets, bedrooms during summer vacations. People constantly joked that we were more like best friends than sisters. Even after college, we remained close. When she married, I stood beside her as maid of honor. When she had her first daughter, I was the first person she called from the hospital. If someone had told me we'd stop speaking completely, I would have laughed. Everything changed because of one promotion. I worked as a regional operations manager for a logistics company. The job demanded long hours, constant travel, late-night conference calls, but I loved solving complicated problems. After 12 years with the company, I was promoted to vice president of operations. It was the biggest achievement of my career. My parents hosted a small celebration. Emily smiled all evening. She hugged me, told everyone how proud she was. I believed her. About a month later, something strange happened. A cousin canceled lunch with me. An aunt stopped returning my calls. Friends from church became distant. At first, I assumed everyone was simply busy. Then my uncle David accidentally let something slip. You know, I never expected that from you. I frowned. Expected what? He looked uncomfortable. Nothing. No, tell me. He hesitated. Emily said, your promotion wasn't exactly earned. My stomach dropped. What does that mean? He looked embarrassed. I thought you already knew. I didn't. Apparently, Emily had been quietly telling relatives that I'd had an affair with a married executive at work. According to her, that's how I'd received my promotion. The story spread unbelievably fast. People added details that never existed. Within weeks, family members treated rumors as facts. Nobody asked me whether any of it was true. Not one person, including my parents. I confronted Emily immediately. She looked completely calm. I never said you had an affair. You implied it. I simply repeated what someone else told me. Who? I don't remember. Emily? This is serious. She shrugged. People believe what they want. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Then I asked the question that changed everything. Did you know it wasn't true? She looked directly at me, then smiled. I didn't stop them. That was answer enough. I immediately met with my company's human resources department. The rumor had never reached work, fortunately, but hearing it spoken aloud made me realize how dangerous it could become. Meanwhile, my family slowly disappeared from my life. Christmas invitations stopped arriving. Birthday dinners happened without me. Family vacations continued. Nobody even told me they were happening. Every time I asked why, the answer remained exactly the same. Emily doesn't want conflict. As though I had somehow become responsible for the lie she'd created. During those years, I quietly collected everything. Every text message, every voicemail, every email, every screenshot. One afternoon, Emily accidentally texted me instead of one of her friends. Don't worry. Mom already believes Claire slept her way into that promotion. Dad will believe whatever Mom believes. She deleted the message seconds later. Too late, I'd already saved it. Months later, one of Emily's closest friends contacted me. I can't keep lying anymore. She forwarded several old conversations. In them, Emily openly admitted she'd invented the rumor because Claire always gets everything. Someone needed to humble her. Reading those words broke something inside me. Not because strangers believed them, because my own parents never asked for proof. Over the next year, 3 more relatives quietly apologized. Each admitted Emily had privately told them different versions of the same story. Every version became slightly more dramatic. None were true. I organized everything carefully, Text messages, witness statements, time-stamped screenshots, emails, even a signed letter from Emily's former friend, explaining exactly when the rumor began. Then, Thanksgiving arrived. Mom called, "Don't come. Emily doesn't want drama." I smiled sadly. "I won't." Instead, I wrote 8 letters. Each began exactly the same way. "For 3 years, you've believed a story without ever asking me if it was true." Into every envelope, I placed copies of different evidence, enough for each family member to understand exactly how the rumor had started. Then I mailed them all by certified delivery. Tracking confirmed they would arrive Thanksgiving morning, exactly as dinner began. That evening, I roasted a small turkey for myself, watched an old movie, turned off the television, and ignored my phone. Around 7 o'clock, the first missed call appeared, then another, then 10, then 20. By 11:30, there were 68. A loud knock echoed through my apartment. I looked through the peephole. Every member of my family stood outside. Sometimes, the loudest lie survives only until the quiet truth finally arrives. As my family opened their certified letters around the Thanksgiving table, the story they'd believed for 3 years finally collapsed under the weight of the evidence they'd never bothered to ask for. The knocking continued, slow, steady. Then Dad's voice came through the door. "Claire, please, we need to talk." I stood in my hallway for several seconds before unlocking the door. The moment it opened, nobody spoke. Mom's eyes were swollen from crying. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years in a single evening. My uncles, aunts, cousins, even Grandma, were all standing there. Only one person was missing. Emily. Dad finally broke the silence. "Can we come in?" I stepped aside. Nobody sat down. The room felt too heavy. Mom clutched the certified letter in her hands. I read everything." I nodded. So did everyone else. One by one, my relatives quietly placed their envelopes on my coffee table. Several had highlighted text messages. Others carried handwritten notes. My cousin Sarah spoke first. I called the woman who wrote the statement. She confirmed every word. Uncle David sighed. I also checked the dates. The messages match everything. Aunt Linda wiped away tears. "We believed her. We never asked you." "No, you didn't." Dad looked down at the floor. "I failed you. For 3 years, I chose the easier answer." "What was easier?" He swallowed. "Believing one daughter, instead of investigating the truth." Mom couldn't stop crying. I kept telling myself so that avoiding conflict would heal the family. It didn't. It destroyed it. I quietly nodded. Conflict wasn't the problem. The lie was. Silence filled the room. Finally, Grandma stood. She slowly walked toward me, then hugged me tightly. "I'm so sorry. I should have asked. You were the only one who always told me to ask questions." She cried harder. "And I didn't." A few minutes later, someone knocked again. Everyone turned. Dad opened the door. Emily stood outside. She looked confused. "Mom, why is everyone's car here?" Nobody answered. She stepped inside, then noticed every certified envelope lying on my coffee table. Her face immediately changed. "What is this?" Dad held up his copy. "Is it true?" She looked at him blankly. "What? Did you start those rumors?" She laughed nervously. "Oh, Claire's still obsessed with that." I quietly picked up my phone, opened one of the saved voice recordings, then pressed play. Emily's own voice filled the room. "She thinks she's better than everyone. Let's see how perfect she looks after people start asking questions." The recording ended. Nobody moved. Emily stared at me. "You recorded me. It was legal. You were threatening me." She looked around desperately. It was just venting. Her former best friend, Melissa, who had come with the rest of the family, quietly spoke. "No, it wasn't. I was there. I begged you to stop." "You laughed." Emily's confidence disappeared. She looked toward Mom. "Say something." Mom slowly stepped backward. "For 3 years, I defended you." Emily's eyes filled with panic. "Mom, you told me Claire ruined this family." Mom shook her head. "No, I did, because I believed you." Dad finally spoke. His voice was calmer than I'd ever heard it. "I called Claire." "What?" "I called my own daughter and told her not to come home." He looked directly at Emily. "Based on a lie." Emily whispered. "I didn't think it would go this far." I answered quietly. "It went exactly as far as you allowed it to." Nobody argued. Nobody shouted, because there wasn't anything left to deny. Every message, every screenshot, every statement, every date fit together perfectly. Eventually, Emily began crying. "I'm sorry." The words hung in the room. I looked at her. "Who are you apologizing for?" She frowned. "What? Yourself? Or me?" She couldn't answer, because she honestly didn't know. Dad slowly turned toward everyone. "I have something to say." He faced our relatives. I asked Claire to stay away from every family gathering. I was wrong. If anyone should have been excluded, it should have been the lies. He looked back at me. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope, as one day, you'll let us earn another chance. I smiled sadly. I spent 3 years asking everyone to hear me. No one listened, so I stopped asking. Epilogue, soft piano becomes lighter, carrying peace instead of anger. It's been 4 years since that Thanksgiving. Some relationships healed, some didn't. Grandma and I became closer than ever. My parents spent years rebuilding trust, not with promises, with actions. They never again dismissed my concerns, without listening first. Emily moved away the following year. She eventually wrote me a long letter, not asking for forgiveness, simply accepting responsibility. It was the first honest thing she'd said to me in years. I answered months later, not because everything was fixed, but because healing sometimes begins with honesty. Today, Thanksgiving looks different. Smaller, quieter, but peaceful. No one is asked to stay home to avoid drama, because everyone finally understands something. Ignoring the truth never creates peace. It only delays the consequences. My thoughts. Looking back, the certified letters didn't destroy my family. The lie had already done that. The letters simply gave everyone the chance to see the truth for themselves. Sometimes people ask why I waited 3 years. Because evidence matters more than emotion. When someone has already decided you're guilty, arguing rarely changes their mind. Facts do. And I learned one final lesson. Real family doesn't ask you to sacrifice your reputation to keep someone else comfortable. Real family listens before they judge. If they don't, sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is step away long enough for the truth to find its own voice.